I just gave up. I didn't care. I would go to a trap house for 4 or 5 days and just give my credit card to my drug dealer and say, just keep it coming. Grew up kind of in a normal household, at least on the outside looking in. Have a couple of brothers, couple sisters, my parents. Flew over here on Korean Airlines and got adopted by a couple of white people. Very friendly, very nice. But on the inside, it was a little different, man. Behind closed doors wasn't the best environment for me. My mother was pretty emotionally and physically abusive, and so that set off a lot of things in me from a very young child. Being told, you know, that you weren't loved, that you shouldn't have been adopted, that you know, you just don't belong here, you know, you're not good enough. My dad wasn't around a lot because he was in the military. He was flying all over the country, and sometimes he even got stationed in remote locations, so I didn't really see him quite a bit. I was pretty much a class clown, you know, moved around a lot, lived in like 7 different states. Each time I moved, it was kind of a chance to reinvent myself. Trying to get along with everybody, trying to be popular, trying to fit in, never really feeling like I fit in because I was always different. You know, racially, obviously, I'm not white. All my friends were white. That's really how I grew up, raised by people that were white. So I was a little bit confused, you know, like, how do I identify? Until recently, I really haven't identified with my race, and it's been kind of a journey into that since then. I started using it in high school, actually a little bit before that, probably in 8th grade. First thing I ever drank was like Bartles and James wine coolers. I had like a 4-pack of those, and I remember, you know, feeling really good on those. The effect that it had on me was certainly euphoria. I was able to get out of my head. I felt like everything that I was good at got better. Like I was funnier, I was cooler, I was, you know, life of the party. You know, I experimented in high school just like anybody else. I think growing up, we, you know, we did some cocaine, we did some LSD, certainly lots of marijuana. I provided some of the drugs and alcohol that we used. I moved out of the house as a young guy in downtown Madison, Wisconsin, and we constantly threw house parties because we really had no accountability. There were no parents living there. You know, I wanted to be like the good time Charlie of the group. I always knew where all the fun times were going to be amongst all the other different schools in our school district. Joining a fraternity, it was more a really good excuse to get drunk a lot on Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays. Managed to just barely graduate college. I think I had like a 2.77. It's like on the very low end point of what you needed in order to be able to get your diploma. I wanted a big boy job. I wanted an adult job, something that I could you know, really hang my ego on, because I had a giant ego and I thought I was better than just working in restaurants. I just knew that my girlfriend at the time was in human resources. She got the weekends off, and she seemed to be making a lot more money than I did. Got my master's degree in human resources, and off I went. Graduated from the same school that I went to my bachelor's degree in, this tiny little like podunk school called UW Stout. And most of my friends growing up were pretty smart guys that went to like Duke or Yale or some of the other bigger universities. And so I always felt like the odd man out whenever we'd come home. I just didn't quite measure up. I always felt like I just couldn't meet those expectations. And so I felt like a fraud, you know, and they're paying me really good money to basically be this guy that I didn't even know who that was. And that led to me feeling even more insecure. And, you know, the people that I'm working with are coming from major Ivy League institutions. These people bring a lot to the table. I started using escorts in LA and tried to just live that high life of being a single guy, making good money. I lasted in human resources about 7.5 years, worked for another company, and when I moved back home to Madison, Wisconsin, one of the working girls that I was seeing was using a substance. I had no idea what it was, but I decided to take a hit anyways when she offered, because what the hell, I'll try anything once. When we start to experiment and put a lot of different substances in our body, we kind of figure out what feels good and what doesn't. Crack cocaine hit me like a brick. It was amazing. I thought that I could handle that drug. I would go to really bad parts of town at all hours of the night to be able to get these drugs. I would buy it from people that were less than savory, to say the least, that put myself in some danger. What I thought was a drug that I could master soon mastered me. I found myself, you know, in a McDonald's parking lot in a beautiful Mercedes-Benz with a spoonful of my drugs, cooking it out in the open, I was gonna lose my job, I was gonna lose my house, I was gonna lose my car. I had long ago lost all, any kind of love for myself. Constantly waking up feeling guilty and ashamed. Waking up every morning going, I'm not gonna use today. And, at the end of the day, first phone call I make when I skip out of work is to my drug dealer. And I'm like, how is this happening, I'm a smart guy. I got a master's degree. I make 6 figures. I should be somebody. But deep down inside, I really wasn't anybody. I was just this empty, hollow shell trying to fill it with just all this junk. I reached out and got help, went to my first rehab facility in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. The next 12 years, I really spent in and out of the halls of AA, of NA, trying to get help, getting sponsors, quitting the program, relapsing, using, and just never really being honest with myself. Even though I'm in these friendly halls of AA, I still feel like a fraud. I still have low self-esteem. I still feel like I don't belong. I would hang out with women that would just use me for money, but I didn't care because I wanted to use with somebody. It led to a lot of hospital stays, and then it started to lead to some legal consequences. I had a DWI and then 2 tickets for soliciting prostitutes, which I used to get my drugs. I felt like I would never be employable. I felt like, someone can search my background and who the heck would ever even want to be friends with me or date me or do anything like that. Getting arrested, getting put in jail, losing your job, losing your house, losing your car, losing your friends, losing yourself never stopped me from separating myself from my drugs and alcohol. I continued to use at a pace that I could not stop, that progressively got worse time and time again. Even though no matter what my intentions were, no matter how hard I said I was going to control this, no matter what I thought was going to be the high, it never ended up where I wanted it to be. I bought a bunch of vodka and was pretty much ready to drink myself to death. I didn't have the balls to pull a trigger. I owned several guns which had left my possession because my roommates and my family were worried I would do something stupid. I decided to drink as much as I could, as fast as I could over the next 3 days. This was just after being released from a psych hold for 9 days in Wisconsin for having suicidal ideation. So it was definitely not in a good spot. My family did an intervention. My friends did an intervention. I was in my bed the entire time. I was actually on the phone with the intake coordinator from My Better Today. And I was just sobbing profusely because I knew that I needed help, but I was too afraid to ask for it. Completed a 92-day program of complete sobriety in recovery. It was the longest time I've ever had. You've been sober for 92 days, bro. You deserve a break. You deserve a celebration. Against everything that I just learned in 90 days, I threw it out and decided to go get drunk and high and use again. I lasted about 8 or 9 days on the outside. And again, quickly, it brought me to my knees. I had lost a job, I lost a car, I was losing friends, I had no place to live, admitted defeat, and started all over again. I did that for another 45 days. And decided that I needed to go back out, and I AMA'd. And so I left the perfectly good rehab facility to go back out on the streets of Arizona and try to piece together what I thought would be a really good time. And while I was at ABT, I had some money. I'd cashed out my 401k. I had my phone. I had access to transportation, anything that I needed in order to have the relapse that in my mind was going to be perfect. It'll never be like it was. I will constantly be chasing that feeling. And if it's never gonna be the same, why would we constantly try to chase something that we know we can never get? Will I ever find something that I love to do as much as I love to do drugs and alcohol? Some of the fears that a lot of newcomers have is sobriety even gonna be fun? Because you used in order to be socially acceptable, and now you can't even interact with people socially, you're completely isolated, and you spent all your resources on something that never gave you anything that you wanted and never gave you anything in return. And so trying to develop that spiritual relationship with something that I can't see, taste, hear, or touch was certainly a challenge. Got about 6.5 months right now, so by far the longest amount of clean time I've ever had in my entire life, and it feels good. I got a job now that I'm working in recovery, and I get to help other addicts and alcoholics find the help that they're looking for. I can provide hope just by the fact that I'm still clean today. I started to build relationships back up with my family, mended a lot of bridges that I'd burnt in the past. So it's good to see these things start to come back into my life. I was tested a bit in recovery, and I got in a pretty bad motorcycle accident. I had 2 skin grafts and a shattered collarbone, but didn't use when that happened. And I didn't use when I attempted to get into a relationship right outside of recovery, which is a terrible idea, by the way. I've been through some stuff, but I've managed to do it without having to get high. I've managed to do it without having to pick up a drink. I can't imagine a reason why I would ever want to pick up. I don't ever want to return to the hell and a loss of control and esteem and self that happens anytime I pick up a drug or alcohol, because it's never just one. And that acceptance of that fact has truly helped me stay clean and sober. So I live in a sober living environment today. I live with a bunch of guys that are all trying to keep clean, and we help each other out. Certainly something that I need in my recovery, because I can't do this alone. Very active in the 12-step programs. I have a home group, I have a sponsor, I've worked the 12 steps. I'm almost on the verge of starting to take sponsees. It's a big step. But informally, I mentor a lot of the new guys at the house. Like I said, I am working on a job in recovery, which has been my lifelong dream ever since I entered my first rehab facility 12 years ago. I'm a lot more serene. I accept myself for what I am. I know that during that time, while I was actively in addiction, I wasn't a bad person, but I certainly could make better decisions. And now that's what I'm trying to do, is make better decisions. And to be able to be comfortable with self and to love yourself. Because once you learn how to do that and develop that relationship with your higher power, really nothing can stop you. Because God is infallible, people are fallible. And if you try to invest too much in your people relationships to keep you clean, eventually they will let you down. But your higher power never will. So having that trust in Him to be able to watch over you and to be able to help you and to guide you to make those decisions, sky's the limit, man. I've got dreams now, I've got goals, I got aspirations. They're manageable. They're not based upon position, they're not based upon money, they're not based upon prestige. They're based upon, can I help other people? How can I be of service today? What can I do to pass on the message? And those are the things that keep me sober. So I'm very, very grateful to everyone that has helped me in this journey, to the people at ABT, to the people in AA, to the people that live in my sober living, to my family. If you take the suggestions, keep an open mind, keep an open heart, and just do what you're told. Put your trust in something else, because our best decision making got us in these chairs. You truly will know the joy and the serenity that this program can bring.
Detox to Rehab wants to help as many people as possible, and do it the right way. Please subscribe, comment, and like our channel. Thank you for watching.